Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Playing with Power podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things cEDH, EDH, and Magic the Gathering. I'm your host, TK, and today Ryan is not with me, but I have a very special episode because I am joined by a very special guest, the creator of the TopDeck.gg software, as well as founding member and development lead of Eminence Gaming, Zain Nair. Thank you so much for being with us, Zain.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Happy to be here as always, and super excited about what we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Zain is joining us today to take a look at some of the upcoming major cEDH events that are coming in 2024. Also give you an insight as to where to go and kind of what you want to do if you're trying to scratch that sort of competitive itch for Tournament EDH in the upcoming season. But first, we're going to take a look at our sponsors. Our merchandise is now available in our store. We have dice, coins, playmats, tokens, sleeves, and more all available. So go to playingwithpowermtg.com and help support the channel. You can get all of your nerdy things there. If you've got a loved one that really needs something for their cEDH table, you can also support us on Patreon. Patrons get access to our Discord, webcam league, play days, early access to videos, names in the credits of our shows, exclusive videos, merchandise, and the ability to be on an episode. There are tiers for everyone, so go to patreon.com/playingwithpowermtg and help support the show. Also, if you're looking to sponsor the podcast, please reach out in the email below. And as always, every episode we do a Patreon shout out, and today's Patreon shout out is to Ryan's uncle, aka Darius Mitchell. Thank you so much for supporting the show, Darius. We appreciate it as always. But yeah, so back to the episode at hand. Hello, Zain. Thank you so much for joining us. We are very excited to have you because we are going to be talking about tournaments. And I was like, oh, what better way than to get the guy who pretty much funds and organizes at least 90%, I would say, safely, of the major tournaments we talk about anyways while we're on the show. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here, man.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, always happy to talk about this stuff, both as like a player and an organizer. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you want to give everybody, the uninitiated who do not know who you are, kind of a spiel on who you are, even though many probably have gotten their butt kicked by you on Roxai, you want to give everybody the spiel on what you do outside of taking names on that side of things.
yeah, so I'm Zain. I'm one of the founders of Eminence Gaming, and I wrote the Command Tower software that is used in most cEDH tournaments that you see across the US and Europe and Australia and pretty much everywhere. I wrote that software. I made TopDeck.gg where you can sign up and for events and find events and all that jazz. And also EDH Top 16 if you're ever looking for deck lists that are topping events and like what you're trying to do some meta analysis and all that stuff. You can check that out there as well. All of that is from Eminence Gaming, and I'm the lead developer. So obviously I get help from our other developers, but yeah, you can consider me as like the face of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Eminence has been really huge for the development and growth of this format. For anybody who's kind of getting in and, is uninitiated. They pretty much have kind of been the backbone for a lot of tournaments in the past and will continue to be for the future. And this was a really big year for you guys, specifically with the Top Deck Championship Series kicking off as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like 2023 was like the year of cEDH. That was like the goal going into 2023. I was like, we're going to make cEDH as popular as possible. Everyone's going to be playing cEDH. I feel like I've gotten pretty close to that goal. And now for 2024, I was like, okay, well, the next step is to have a circuit for cEDH. So something that instead of you just going and occasionally playing tournaments and you just win some pretty cool prizes, actually like reserve list or just huge amounts of store credit, you can also start earning points by just playing at like your locals or going to these bigger events or going to quote unquote regional events that we're tagging. And kind of just play towards a bigger invitational so we can kind of figure out who is the best cEDH player, get a leaderboard going, start talking about who's winning, why they're winning, who's at the top of the leaderboards, all that stuff, and just get everyone involved in it. Because for the championship series, it hits not only like the Eminence events, but also hits your local stores, the online events. We have gold partners across the nation who will hold like regional events. You can earn more points there. So you can get involved in any capacity as you want. Even at my locals, I had people from like Oregon. I'm in California. I had people from Oregon showing up to our locals to play and earn points, which is just awesome to see.
Yeah, no, it's so widespread, and I knew immediately when I saw kind of the banner on Twitter. It was where I first heard about it. I was like, oh, this is insane, because with EDH not necessarily being a sanctioned format like you would modern or anything, we don't have a pro tour to work for, but the money and everything for competitors in EDH is insane. Like you can win some serious value by being good and really grinding these tournaments,
Mhm.
and so to have this sort of all roads lead to event is huge for the development. I have seen so many events. I'm over here in the South, in North Carolina, South Carolina area, and so there are so many locals around me specifically that are doing like these gold tier events. And people are talking about, oh yeah, I'm trying to win these points to go to the invitational or for this or for that, and it's like, wow, that's insane to think that just a year ago you would probably get maybe a pod to play a cEDH with you in person in these spaces, and here we are now, and I'm seeing like people on Fridays like out the wazoo of these like locals and these stores playing competitive Magic at this level in this format for these events, and I just think that's amazing. So congrats to you guys for kicking that off. It's something that's been really exciting to not only participate in as a player, but also see just as somebody who is, really fortunate to have a position in this community. It's been really great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, obviously, some credit to playing with power as well. I saw like I modeled at least part of it off the Mox Masters, which you guys ran this year in conjunction with Eminence. And I saw like as a competitor in the Mox Masters Invitational, it felt good to grind points and work towards something like that. And I was definitely like, we need to bring this out to everyone.
Yeah.
And I have the ability to do that, so I'm doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it works for sure. So I guess before we get into it, I think I would say the biggest thing that is going on in 2024, especially with the end of the season going in there. So do you want to maybe start by talking about what the championship series is for people who maybe, are just getting into the format, have not started yet, and talk about kind of different tiers, and then we can go into some of the events that you'll see on the way there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I have a
Yep.
whole spiel prepared for the championship series that I just rattle off. But
Perfect.
yeah, so Top Deck Championship Series, what is it? It is a 10-month long season from November of 2023 all the way to August of 2024, where players can earn points at events that they play at to funnel into an invitational that will happen in August 2024. What are these events that you can play in? You can actually play in Eminence events, which are platinum tier events, and these are like your like the biggest events. They earn you the most points. If you win one of these events, you're automatically qualified into the invitational. And then below that, you have gold events, which are gold partnered stores across the nation. If you go to topdeck.gg and you check out the championship series homepage, you can find out what stores are gold partners. These stores will be holding at least 3 gold events throughout the season, where you can earn a similar amount of points to a platinum event, and you can earn points there. And then we have the Emerald events, which are your online events. You got the Mox Masters, you got Chaos, you got Path to the Peak, potentially more on the way. You can play in those to earn points as well. And then lastly, we have Silver and Bronze events. These are your local events, and they're just based on participation to figure out if they're bronze or silver. Bronze is 16 or more, silver is 32 or more. You can play in those events at your local game store, and you can earn points there. So if you just have like a tournament that your store holds every month or every week, even have them sign up for the championship series. Start earning those points. It even applies retroactively. So if you've already played in a few events and you're like, well, I want that to count towards points. You can go get your store to sign up, and then we can get them on, and you can get your points for events you've already played in, and then future events, and then a little bit about how these points work is it's actually capped per tier. So it's not like, oh, someone has way more time than me and they can show up to every event and then I'm never going to catch up to them. We actually take your three best placements for platinum events, your three best placements for gold events, your best placement for emerald, and your five best placements for bronze, and then your best placement for silver. And that's your point total. So there's like a maximum number of points you can achieve, and you would have to get first in all of those caps to like max out on the points. So you can always work towards getting more points. Like let's say you got top 64 at a gold event, and then later you were like, I can beat that. I can get top 16. You can replace the point total like that. So while we are rewarding the grinders, the average person can join in and they can definitely participate and try to get onto the invitational. And then for the invitational, how do you qualify? Obviously, I've mentioned that you can win a platinum event. There will be four of them. One of them already happened at the Top Tech Expo back in November. There's three more on the way, which we'll talk about later. You can win one of those and get a direct qualification. So four people will directly qualify. Then 56 players from the leaderboard after that will get qualified based on the number of points that they have. And then the last four players that are going to qualify are from a voting system, for like a wildcard system. So you still have to be on the leaderboard. You have to be between 56th and 80th place, I believe, to be considered for the vote. And then we're going to have a vote later on next year throughout a week. And basically, you'll be able to vote for which four players you will expect to go to the invitational. And then those players will campaign and try to win your votes and whatnot. And it'll be a whole fun thing. So look forward to that as well. So the invitation will be currently 64 players. There's a 10K base prize. And then for each store that signs up for the invitational, we increase the prize pool. I believe currently it's at like $11,700 or something like that. And we hope that it's going to be like I'm aiming for like 15K prize next year. Like get every store
Yeah.
signed up, and we're gonna go crazy. We're gonna have an awesome time. But yeah, every store that signs up, we add to the prize pool. So
Yeah,
definitely get your
absolutely.
local involved.
15K, you're going to see some people who are not haven't even touched the EDH deck. Like, hold on, wait a minute. Let me go ahead and sleeve something up real quick. That's awesome. I had no idea that you guys were capping, for participation, which is really great because a lot of times with these models, you'll see people be discouraged to join these events because they're like, oh, I just found out about it. Here we are in February. People have been playing since last August. I don't want to, I feel like I'll never be able to catch up. But that's really cool because it incentivizes that no matter where you are on that timeline, if this episode is the first time of you hearing about the Top Deck Championship Series, or you hear about it from someone else further along or anything, you always will have time and there will be an opportunity for you to do well, which is really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And we obviously take
absolutely.
the most local events for points, even though they're worth less. You can stack up your local events and try to make it through there and just attend like one platinum or gold event. Hopefully, maybe we don't really know what the point cutoff is going to be, but you can follow the leaderboard right now. If you go to topdeck.gg, there's a leaderboard. It updates every night. You can track your points, see how you're doing, and be like, hey, I'm doing better than my friends. That's some people's goals. You can be like, I'm aiming for number one, or I'm just aiming for to be in the invitational, whatever your goal is. Yeah, I think it's just cool that you can keep track of that type of stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives, I don't know, breath to the community in a way of like, we talk about, oh, these players are really great, all the time, and we see them in tournaments, but now there's a living, breathing sort of doctrine that we can kind of see that like,
Yeah.
shows, oh, no, they're killing it right now. It's almost like sports in a way of like seeing your favorite team or your favorite player do well during a season. It's like, okay, cool. Well, we have that here now for EDH, and that's really cool.
Yeah, you're starting to see some rivalries between players, like, oh, I just overtook you on the leaderboard, or we just saw some movement as of this recording of like, oh, the number one player on the leaderboard just got dethroned by another player that people are rooting for and stuff like that. Just cool, it's cool stuff to see, and really want to make this about the players. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Stories like that are what really build a format. And so, like I said, you guys have been the backbone anyways for so long. And so now to kind of see these stories develop between people, it's only going to grow from there. And so I'm super excited for that as well.
Yeah, in 2023, we brought you EDH Top 16 so you could talk all about decks. And now in 2024, we're bringing you the top deck leaderboard so you can really talk about the players.
Absolutely. The trash talk continues. It goes further and further. It's like, no, I can tell you not only your deck sucks, you suck specifically. Absolutely. But you mentioned the Platinum events, right? The 4 events that people are going to be able to do throughout. These are kind of the events mainly that people are going to want to travel out to, plan in advance to kind of make through. Do you guys already have visibility on what those are going to be, or is that something you guys still working?
As of this podcast, I can actually tell you the dates for every Platinum event. So this is the first place people are probably going to hear it if this comes out like tomorrow.
Perfect. Yeah.
So we got the Boil coming up on January 27th, 28th. You already know about that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third Platinum event is Punt City 3, the Eminence Bread and Butter, the event we're always known for. April 6th, same place, Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. I better see you guys there. So definitely look forward to that one. Always the great times are had at Punt City. So if you haven't been there, it's like a different experience from every other Eminence event for like whatever reason. And then the last Platinum event is going to be on June 29th in Columbus, Ohio. So if you're in Ohio, I know there's a lot of cEDH players in or around that area. Look forward to that. We're finally heading over to your location, and we're hoping to make that one quite a large event, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of nerds in Ohio, man. I have been there, and we had the invitational, the Mox Masters Invitational there. Right. I was like, wow, there's a ton of us here. So yeah, that's definitely gonna be cool. But Punt City 3, I know a ton of people are gonna be super excited about that. I've heard so many people talk about the last 2, and yeah, that's gonna be huge. I already know people are gonna be already getting their accounts in order. Like, okay, cool. That's where I have to be in April. I will absolutely be there in April. So super excited about that, man. That's awesome.
Sweet. Yeah. Those are the Platinum events you can still look forward to. So plan those out. April 6th and June 29th. Hope to see you there. Obviously, if you're listening to this, I'm seeing you at the Boil, obviously, of course.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah. We have those, and then obviously we have the final invitational event in August 24th. There will actually be a regular cEDH event there as well that will be quite large. So even if you didn't make it, you can show up and participate there as well. That's, I think, also going to be in Pennsylvania, but more details to come.
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, that's a lot to look forward to, especially in 2044 already. If you've never been to an Eminence event, before listening to this podcast, there are huge parties to me almost for cEDH competitors, people who play EDH, not just EDH, even though Magic, like, because you have the vendors that are there, you have people who are bringing their cubes, all sorts of different things. There's LobbyCon. If you've never enjoyed a LobbyCon, that's happening every night at the hotel. People are there for so many different reasons. So even if you're not the biggest competitor, I would say these are good just events to go and network and hang out with friends. If you've never been there, literally like the sort of are like, what is the biggest thing to that? I mentioned the Pro Tour earlier, like that's that for our format. And so when you see people go to these events, that's why it's popular and it's fun. You're going to see everybody who's everybody in the community there usually. All of your favorites. I know us here at Playing with Power, we're 1 or 2 members are at usually all of these events. I plan to be at just about all of these if possible. So yeah, the Platinum events, if you've never been, they're huge and they're big for a reason.
Hell yeah. Like when I show up to our events, I'm like, should I even play? I'm just kind of like here to hang out with everyone. And that's always a good time too. Just get to see all your friends and everything. It's a good time.
100%, especially because we spend so much time talking on the internet, from wherever on Twitter and everything. So it's like good to just finally relax and be in front of everybody. It's really nice.
Yeah, just get off Discord, get off Twitter, just hang out
touch
with everyone.
Grass. Yeah, exactly. So that's with the Platinum events. And so, like you said, the next one is the Boyle. That's the 8K main event in Atlanta, Georgia, January 27th. So most people who are probably listening to this by that time have gotten their tickets. But if they have not, please go. It's super fun. I know the last Eminence event in Atlanta was the outside of the Top Deck Expo was the Cookout. And that was the last one that I was able to go to. That was super fun as well. So yeah, if you have not had a chance to, that is definitely something you want to look forward to.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Card Conduit. Do you have extra cards lying around that you don't use? Want to buy or trade for some extra cards but don't know how to maximize the value? Then you should try out Card Conduit. Card Conduit is the best service when it comes to selling your extra cards. Don't waste hours trying to find the best buy list price for your cards online. Simply send them to Card Conduit and let them take care of the rest. I've used Card Conduit multiple times already. I always use them to get the best value of my extra cards. I get fair prices for my cards and they save me tons of time. They have 3 main services. Their standard service lets you send them unsorted cards of any value. They will sort, grade, and give you the best buy list price for your cards. Their curated service is similar. Send them your unsorted cards worth over $1 in value. They will charge half of the fee of the standard service and charge no fee per card. Their new sorted service is a great value as well. Choose cards in advance with their selection tool, send them sorted to Card Conduit, and they will grade and buy list them automatically. Save yourself the time of having to send to multiple sites and let Card Conduit do it instead. Their fee is only 2% with no fee per card. They give you the best price for your cards. They work with competitive buy listing partners, including ones not open to the public. Users get an average of 19% more for their collection than they would have from a major retail buy list, even with Card Conduit's fees. Card Conduit also optimizes buy listing for card condition as well. Since vendors have different penalties for wear and tear, Card Conduit will find the best buy list price against the specific condition of a card. So give Card Conduit a try today. If you sign up with my link in the show notes or the description, or use the promo code POWER, you'll also get 10% off their fees when you use their service. A big thanks to Card Conduit for sponsoring today's podcast.
And then we also have a list of gold events that we're looking forward to as well. So these are events not on the same tier as Platinum events. Obviously, if you win, you're not going to necessarily guarantee a spot there, but they do rack you up major points and also major prizes as well. So I took a list at Top Deck GG not too long ago and found these events that I'm also planning on. And so we want to talk about them and get them on other people's radars. There is a cEDH 2K here at Deer Park, New York on January 6th, 2024. So before the Boyle, so even sooner for the reserve list series there. That sounds super exciting. We were talking about reserve list being, a common pricing that you see for these tournaments. So that's really cool. We also have Tropic Thunder. Love the name at Oasis Games.
I saw that name. It was awesome.
That's like, dude, that's
Salt Lake
sick.
Boys.
Yeah. That's such a sick name. They're at Oasis Games, Salt Lake City, Utah. That's January 20th and 21st. So 2-day event next year. So right before the Boyle. And the winner gets a Gaia's Cradle, which, oh, God, that's amazing. Yeah. And then last, but certainly not least for some of the ones that I pictured here are From the Vault Anniversary at the Mana Vault. Really big in the community in terms of, buying product and everything at St. Francis, Wisconsin from February 17th, 2024. So after the Boyle. So if you maybe don't get a chance to go to that Platinum event and you still kind of want to travel, get that itch out. That is a good one because the winner gets a time twister. So yeah, you want to talk about pricing? Jesus, like those are good. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's money in cEDH, man. Yeah.
There's actually some. We have a new gold partner as well, and they're holding in Columbia, Tennessee. They're holding Eternal Judgment. I believe the pricing is stacked. It's like first place gets a Judge Foil Wheel, and then the other top 4 participants get a Judge Foil Intuition. Crazy stuff. Another gold partner, January 20th. It's the weekend before the Boyle as well. You're kind of starting to see a trend here. But definitely check out like some of our other gold partners. You can find them on the homepage for the series. So we got TC's Rockets, we got Level Up Games, we got Pastimes holds gold events as well. Mana Vault was mentioned. Salt City Gaming, Sword in the Stone. Just this past weekend, they held Winds of Winter, I believe, was the name of the tournament. Some guy from SoCal like showed up and won that whole event, even though it was in like in like Pennsylvania, and he was like, "Yeah, I was just here to get some points, and I was rooting for my family." Like you're gonna see stuff like that. Charlie's Collectible Show as well as another gold partner, and then you're gonna see more gold partners appear on the site as well. So definitely look out for what events they're holding, and if you're ever confused on like, hey, what events are going to get me points or all that stuff, if you just go to topdeck.gg, you can filter it out. You can be like gold events, silver, bronze, whatever. They're all marked. They get the little trophy icon next to them, and you can kind of figure out what you want to play in and where you might want to earn these points.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely check out Top Deck GG if you're looking for, maybe some of these are not, in your wheelhouse. Maybe you can't travel out to them. That's fine. There's so many other events that we're not going to list here today that you can go to. I know closer to me in South Carolina, you guys are doing events with Side Deck in, I think it's Greenville, South Carolina. They're doing it. So there's partners everywhere. So definitely take a look if none of these are closer to you and maybe you're like, I can't make that travel. Don't worry. I promise you there's something close to you. I promise you. Yeah. 100%. So yeah, those are kind of some of the more traveling ones that we were talking about. Do we want to talk maybe now about maybe some of the online events? Maybe you don't have the money to travel and you're like, but I still want to make this invitational or, at least compete. We've got a couple of online competitions that we talked about before. And I know you had already mentioned, Mox Masters being kind of an inspiration as well. But there are multiple popping up now, and I love them so much. These are fun days too. Yeah.
Mox Masters, obviously the headliner, the king of online events to me. Maybe there's a little bit of bias there, but love Mox Masters. Second Saturday every month now, right? For 2024, yes. And obviously hosted by your boys at Playing with Power. Always proxy friendly, always cash prizing, and then you can obviously earn invitational points for the Mox Masters Invitational there as well. So it's kind of like dual focused in earning points if you're going to play in those. That's definitely one of the major ones. Obviously, then we got Chaos Treasure Series. They are on the third Saturday of every month. So like these online events happen like every Saturday. There's an event like every weekend now, in person or online. Always just be thinking about the next tournament. It's not like 2022 where there was like one event like every 8 months. So
literally you can lose one weekend and be like, oh, well, okay, fine. I'll just compete next weekend. That's fine.
Exactly. So yeah, we got Chaos every third Saturday. Always fun as well. I feel like the third Saturday for me is like cursed. I'm like never free, so I haven't played in a Chaos event in forever. But same deal as Mox Masters, proxy friendly, cash pricing. And then those two events are like the bigger online events, so you'll see like over 100 people playing in those events. And then our friend Accepted, or Alex, as you might know him, Kenrith Daddy, he just started up the Path to the Peak tournament series. And this is a little more focused on like shorter days, smaller events, so like 60 to 80 people, also Emerald. And then also obviously he proxy friendly and cash prized. And I believe he holds them every other month or wherever he can find a free weekend to hold them. The next one is on February 3rd if you want to do like a little more smaller, more focused competitive environment instead of like a bajillion people. So definitely check that out. And then I know that there's actually been a few other people who have reached out about holding their own online series. I know Chaos runs the Lotus series for Mythic Lotus Games, which are also Emerald events. And then some other people have reached out. I can't remember the name. But I see them posting about it on Top Deck and stuff, that they're holding online events of their own. So definitely check those out as well. damn, I wish I took notes on who it was, but like there's like 3 other people who are holding online events too. So
Yeah,
anyone
for
can
sure.
do it now. So the tools are out there. So you're gonna see more and more pop up.
Yeah. The software is, definitely you guys have done the work on your end to make it as user friendly as possible. So if you are, wanting to host your own event, if you've got a group or anything that, has the funding to back this up, yeah, the tools are out there. You can do this pretty easily. I know all of these events that we were talking about. I'm also the same way with Chaos. I hear about them all the time. That third Saturday, though, is always like the one Saturday in which I'm actually free from work. And I'm like, do I want to compete right now or not? But I'm going to get out there at some point. I know that's really huge in the community. Path to the Peak, I was able to play in the second iteration. And a huge shout out to Accepted on that. That series is really fun. It's intimate. It's more intimate. It's smaller. About 60 players, give or take. But the competition was fierce. You see a lot of people who come out to support that event, and there was a lot of people who grind these tournaments anyways, who probably are already well on their way to getting to the Invitational anyways that come. And so it's smaller, but you're not going to miss out on the competitive side of things. You're going to get your competition for sure. And so definitely shout out to Path to the Peak. Super excited for that third iteration. And yeah, like we said, if none of those fit, if for some reason both the second and third Saturday of every month are not free for you, you can go to Top Deck GG and see kind of what's free and open for you.
Exactly. And then you can just always approach your local game store as well. If they're holding events and they need help with holding events, tell them to check out Command Tower. I always hold like video conferences with stores and show them how to use it, how to run events. There's so many stores have reached out that I've been able to just kind of talk to, walk them through whatever questions they have. And then you just start seeing events popping up everywhere, which is nice. And my goal is to just make it super accessible for everyone. So, yeah, everything's out there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, so that was kind of a tour of a lot of the events that are coming up really soon in 2024 and that are going to come up soon. But as we mentioned earlier, you are not just the person that makes the tournaments happen. You are very much a participant in a lot of tournaments as well. So what is some advice that you have for people who are maybe like looking at these tournaments or listening to these events and are like, man, I'm going to go out, but I've never been. I don't know what to do. I know we talked briefly about it, like with Platnum Events and kind of how great those are. But specifically, what's some advice that you have for anybody who's starting to get into that grinding mode?
So for advice for newer players trying to enter the tournament scene or even established players who just, I don't know, they want advice. Number one, I would say always have like a goal in mind of like what you're trying to get out of the event. For some people, it's winning everything. For some people, it's making top 16. For some people, it's just getting a win on their spicy brew. Like just make sure you know what you want out of the tournament and then just try to achieve that and work towards that goal. And obviously goals change over time, but it's just always good to have an idea of like what are you trying to get out of the tournament. Some people just show up and have fun and hang out with their friends. That's like those are my favorite people. So always have that in mind. And then let's say I'm going to gear some of this advice towards people who are trying to win. Definitely pick a deck that you're comfortable with. This is like obviously like amateur tier advice where like of course anyone's going to say that to you, but just make sure you know what your deck does. You understand like the main lines that win. You don't even need to know the niche stuff. I like to watch like the way that I initially started getting good or whatever is I just watched a lot of content and I would just be like, oh, that's an interesting interaction. That's an interesting interaction. Just take notes. And then for your own gameplay, I play, or I at least used to play quite a lot. I used to play like a game every day. Obviously, that's not viable for everyone, but just make sure you're playing cEDH. You're getting games in with other people who are like-minded. So like I said, you have a goal. You want to make sure that other people you're playing with are also like trying to win. They have like similar interests to you, maybe similar skill levels, and then you're all just trying to improve each other. at the game. So like you play with your group of friends, everyone's trying to get good. You talk about the games afterwards. You have a little retrospective session of like, oh, you might have gone wrong here. You did this well. And like this is something you can improve on, or I noticed you always do this. Maybe try this. Definitely want to retrospect on your games, and then don't be afraid to like try new stuff and be wrong about it. I've definitely like played, like people know me for playing Rockside a lot because that's like my current kick, but I played like a lot of decks before. Some of those decks suck, some of them are fine, some of the cards I tried were not good, some of them were quite good. It's okay if you just like lose a tournament or a game or whatever because you were trying something new. Sometimes I'll be like, I wonder if this line is going to work this game. Let me try it out, and then I'll just get blown out. That's okay. Like it's okay to be wrong. Definitely want to be trying stuff out, and because this format offers like an expansive amount of ways to like win or how games could go because there's 4 players in the game. So yeah, you want to be trying things out, and then obviously once again retrospecting on that stuff. I would also say just like, and I mentioned this before, but like find a consistent play group to be playing with. I think that's so important. If you don't have a consistent play group who's like all trying to get good at the same rate, it's just so important. You're gonna find all the best players are doing this. You're never gonna find a player who's just like, yeah, I just like go out into the ether and I just start playing and winning. You're not gonna hear that. It's so rare. Definitely, you want to find friends and like-minded people to be playing with. That it's just, this is a social game. It's a 4-player game. It's just super important that you do that. And I think those are like the main points I want to hit on. But that's essentially all it takes. And then when you show up to these events, you can hang out. You can be happy that your play group is succeeding or whatever, and talking about your games afterwards and all that stuff. And it's just a good time.
Absolutely. I think that's amazing advice. I agree with like every single point of it, honestly, just because like, especially the playgroup situation, that's something that I didn't always have playing in this format, just because I didn't go out. I didn't seek it. I was like, I'm playing online anyways. Why bother? It's whatever. And once you find those people, those like-minded people, like you said, who really are going to understand, who are going to know your table talk. You can win some games just off of talking alone. And there are going to be some people who understand what you're saying and are like, actually, no, I'm not going to listen to your politics, or I'm going to, there's a lot of leveling up moments that you see with your play group every time. And I see that with my current friends and play group now. We play just about every Tuesday and Friday, and we're like, oh, no, I see exactly what you're doing. And it levels up. You see it, and it's so great when you guys do end up going and competing, against each other, and you see that happening and that progression moves forward. So exactly. 100%. Yeah,
that was like definitely my biggest moment too. Like I played with the same group for a long time, and like none of those guys actually play in tournaments or even care about tournaments. But like I played with that group for so long, and I was like the first person out of us to like go and play in tournaments. This was at my local game store, and then I was just like, wow, playing with these guys every day and like just getting good with these guys, it like just to help me do well in tournaments. And like you can obviously do even better than that if you have friends who like also play in tournaments and all that stuff. It's just important.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a social game, like you said. And so you can't win at a social game by just being shut in and not being social, for sure. You have to actually know how to talk to people a little bit.
Exactly. That is my biggest event. Everyone has their own style, and your friends are going to help you figure out what you're weak at, what you're strong at. I had this conversation with some friends recently where I was like, hey, so this is what I've noticed about your gameplay, and like this is I think where you can improve. And then I was like, okay, now your turn. You tell me where I suck and where I can get good. And you just have to be open to that as well. Like I'm not like the best player. I'm like above average. Some people might be like, oh, he's really good. I'm like, I don't know. It's like all right, but yeah, just you want to know, always be improving, always be thinking about the game. I always tell people I'm like addicted to cEDH. I'm like always thinking about stuff. I'll be like in my sleep, I'll wake up and be like, oh dang, dude, I missed a line in this like random ass game I played like on my
Dude, I will do the exact same thing. It'll be like out with my girlfriend or whatever, and I'm like, actually, I think I could have actually won that game, but I just played this card better. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And it's like, that was 3 weeks ago, dude. What is happening?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like keep all that in mind, and like just be open minded. Like I always try cards in my decks and stuff too, and I'm just like, is this actually good or not? And I could ask people, and they'll be like, "What are you doing? Why are you even considering that card?" Or I could just try it and see if it's actually good. I mean, that's how innovation is born, through a lot of failure. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of my favorite things to do with my play group specifically is to, give them feedback. And we do it in, well, we'll sit down and have our feedback discussions, but we're also like very much love to joke around with each other. So my favorite thing is someone going for a play that I really manufactured in my head, and I'm like, "Oh, you fucked up!" Like, "Oh, great, it's awesome, yeah, you messed up bad," and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And then I show them, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah." It's like, "Oh, it's too late though. The Oracle consult is already here. We've already won. We're here." So yeah, it's good to have people who are around and are gonna teach you the things that
exactly.
you can't see. Yeah.
Like really common in like my play group right now is like we'll just flip our hand face up and be like, "Hey, I think I have a line here, but like, what do you guys think? Should I do this or this, or like, what do you?" And then we just talk through it, and like, because at the end of the day, you're just playing a practice game. It doesn't matter who wins.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, "Okay, here's my hand. What do you guys think? Like, do it? Can I win with this or what? Like, what's my line? What am I playing around?" And we'll talk about it. Be like, "Okay, well, if you take this line, you're opening yourself up to X, Y, and Z. But if you do this, you're only opening yourself up to this," and like blah blah blah. And it's just good stuff to talk about and good things to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's different. You're not going to see everything. No one cEDH player is, completely cracked with the sauce and can see every line ever. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, even though I wish I was, like it just doesn't happen like that. So it's good to get other people's perspectives for sure. With that, out of the way, and any advice, is there anything else you wanted to talk, self promo time, talk about with the viewers before we sign off?
No, just thanks for having me on. If you haven't heard about Command Tower, you might have even played on it without knowing what it was. Check it out. Get your LGSs involved. If their LGS is not interested, some people run tournaments out of their own houses or whatever apartment complexes. All the tools are there for you. If you ever need help on like, hey, how do I run this? How does this work? Any of that stuff. On the Command Tower subscription page, I actually do webinars, so you can just schedule one and I'll talk you through it. You can hit me up on Discord at CRob or Twitter at ZRob0. I'll help you run your tournaments. I think I'm doing that with some people in foreign countries recently who are trying to expand cEDH in their countries like Mexico or even Russia. Um, so yeah, just trying to help people out. I'm not here to like gatekeep tournaments or anything to that effect. Everything's really open. That's what we at Eminence are doing. All our events are proxy friendly, so you can show up with your deck and just kind of play with whatever you have. And yeah, definitely check out our events. Check out EDH Top 16. Check out the championship series. Get your LGS involved if you want to earn those points. And if you ever have any like feedback for the website or any of the software or how events are run, hit me up. I'm always open to that stuff. I just ran through so many improvements to the site this past month right before I go on vacation of just stuff that people had feedback on. So yeah, I'm always working on this stuff, and like I'm addicted to cEDH, but I'm also addicted to like growing the scene. So just hit me up. I got you. Whatever you need.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Before you go, we do a question to the listeners every episode, and just want to post this to you as well, just as one last little sign out. What's your pre-tournament ritual, if you have any?
I got to. My pre-tournament ritual is drinking a cold brew, eating like a cookie with the cold brew, and then I don't know if I'm allowed to say this one, but I use the bathroom judiciously right afterwards, and then I go play a tournament.
100%. Yeah. Because nothing is worse than like being so deep into watching someone else's combo and you're like, I can't focus. I have to use the bathroom. I have to go.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, totally makes sense. 100%. I would say my pre-tournament ritual has always been like drinking. I usually go to some sort of coffee shop. I'll drink a black coffee and eat. I'm not the biggest breakfast person just because of the way my lifestyle has been. I'm like, I'll eat when I get hungry. But tournament, I always eat breakfast, eat a huge breakfast, and I will also use the bathroom, and then I will run. I don't know where it is. I'm going to get my nerves out. I'm running. I'm doing a little bit of exercise, and then I'll come back, and I'm like, okay, cool. We're good to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one. Running to get those nerves off. That's strong. I'd recommend that. I might do that.
100%, man. Especially like after my first one, I was like, there is no way I can play. I'm shaking. Like, right. I need to run.
The handshakies happen to everyone. It even happens to me. So
absolutely, man. People are on camera like, what card is he playing? That could be anything. That thing is moving. Yeah, 100%. Well, yeah, thank you again so much, Zain. And yeah, for all of you listeners at home, make sure to give us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast aggregator. You'd be surprised at how much that helps. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and more. All of the links are in the episode notes or the description below. And that wraps up this episode of the podcast. Tune in next time when we talk more about our favorite format and our favorite game, Magic the Gathering. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we will see you next time.